Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Newton's Cradle. And as you may know from previous videos, I always save the best for last, so stay tuned for a cool slow-mo. So let's get started. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the Newton's Cradle. So the first demonstration that's generally shown with a Newton's Cradle is just lifting up one ball and observing as this happens. So now, what we're going to do is, now I'm going to take two balls, lift them up, and let's see what happens. So we can see from both of these, however many balls come in through the input is the same number of balls that come from the output. And we can even extend this to 3 balls. And 4 balls. And obviously the system isn't perfect because you can see these balls move slightly when they should be perfectly still, but it's extremely difficult to get a system like that. So let's take a look at why this is happening. Newton's Cradle is often used to demonstrate conservation of momentum. Momentum can be calculated by the formula P equals mv, or momentum equals mass times velocity. And the law of conservation of momentum states that initial momentum must equal to a final momentum for a system. And this is demonstrated by Newton's Cradle because when one ball comes in at a certain velocity, another ball is kicked out from the other side with that same velocity. However, this doesn't explain why one ball comes in and 2 balls go out at half speed. So we need to take a closer look at something else to determine that. What happens is a shock wave is sent out in both directions from that point of intersection. And these 2 shock waves are traveling at the same speed, so they just travel the length of one ball at the same time. And as you can see, from here to here, the shock wave on the left got reflected at the end, at this boundary, and got reflected so it's now heading back in the other direction. And now both are traveling at the same speed towards the right. And at this point, the shock wave that's on the right, it gets reflected and they meet here. And this is the point where the other ball flies off. And the same thought process can be applied to 2, 3, or 4 balls as inputs. If you would like a more detailed explanation for how the Newton's Cradle works, I'll leave a link in the description to a more mathematical proof. So now let's take a look at some other cool demonstrations that we can do with this Newton's Cradle. So if I take 2 balls and raise them to the same height and drop them at the same time, what will happen? Alright, so now I'm going to release these 2 balls at the same time, and let's see what happens. Alright, so they went a bit haywire there, and because this system is really not perfect, but what you should have noticed is when these 2 were released, they both bounced back off the ends. To figure out why this happens, we can again take a look at the shock waves originating from these 2 points. So as we can see, these 2 shock waves are going to spread out in both directions like they did before. And again, the ones at the ends will reflect back. So as the shock waves travel along the balls, we can see that now the 2 on the ends are going to reflect again, and we will get to this point, which is, of course, where the 2 balls are going to fly off the ends. So now, what do you think will happen if I drop these 2 balls again, but this time at different times? Make a quick hypothesis and let's see. Alright, so there's a lot going on there, so let's break that down. So now let's take a look at the slow-mo. So as you can see, when this first ball drops, there's only 4 in the system, and it releases that ball on the end, which then hits here with the ball at the right. So then these two come down, and this first ball releases one ball, and then the second one releases another, and you can see that 2 balls come out on the end. If we were to continue this, we would just see this pattern repeat. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe and the notification bell so you'll never miss another video.